Welcome back to another episode of the Babbles Nonsense podcast. I have the most amazing guest for y'all today. Her name is Jessica, although you may know her as the Huntsville Mom. In her interview, she says she's not just a mom, and I agree with her. She's more than that. She's a friend. She's a wife. She's building a community here in Huntsville for everyone. I myself think she's a local celebrity, even though she may disagree with me. I really hope y'all enjoy this interview as much as I loved interviewing her, so here we go. All right, guys, I am sitting here with Jessica, the Huntsville Mom. Hello, Jessica.
Hi, Jonna. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We got to give 2 shout outs before we start.
Yes.
One is to Miss Olivia Sparks.
Love her.
She wanted to be here so bad to interview you, but you know, she does makeup on Saturdays. And I was like,
Yes.
well, we're doing it kind of early on Sunday morning. She was like, yeah, count me out. Because she lives an hour away from me.
Yes.
So shout out to Miss Olivia.
Hi, Olivia.
We're probably going to do this again at some point because you're growing so big that we'll have to interview you again with
Would
all the
love
stuff you
it.
got going on.
Yes.
So Olivia will get her opportunity.
Awesome.
And then also Mr. George Woodruff.
Yes.
If you are listening to this podcast, me and Jessica, we've been talking kind of back and forth on Instagram to get this podcast going. And in the midst of that, George Woodruff, who is a friend of yours
Yes.
and basically my dad in Huntsville, was like, as soon as I posted that on Instagram, he messaged me. He said, "You're interviewing the Huntsville Mom?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "That's my friend."
I love George. He is the kindest
He is.
man. I met him through work, and now I consider him a family friend. And I've already told you this story, but in true Southern fashion, he gave my Atticus his first pocket knife whenever I had him.
That is George,
and I thought that
to a
was
T.
so kind that he was thinking of me and thinking of my little boy. And so we have it put up for him, you know, for a special day. But I'll
Well,
make
he
sure that he
definitely-
knows George and the
he's
kind of
my
man he
friend.
is.
You know, he's my friend's dad. So him and her mother took me in like as a second family in Huntsville. So they've been so good to me. So shout outs to Olivia and George.
Hi. We
So-
love you both.
We do. So we're going to get this started, guys. I'm super excited to have you here. I'm not going to lie, I was super nervous. This is probably the most nervous I've been doing a podcast because you're a local celebrity here in Huntsville.
I cannot even accept that. No.
And I'm not a mom.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
so, and I don't think I want children,
Yes.
which is another reason why Olivia wanted to be here because we wanted to get on that aspect
Yes.
with you, which we'll touch on a little bit later. So I was like, well, what can I ask her? You know, I'm not a mom. I don't know mom things to ask,
Yes.
but the skin refinery, Brittany, she told me months ago, she was like, you have to have the Huntsville Mom on. And I was like, Brittany, what am I going to ask her?
Yes.
So
And
I was nervous.
to ease your worries a bit, I always like to share this. I always say I'm more than a mom.
Right.
I've got so much more going on, you know, and I've only been a mom for 4 years, you know, so there's a lot I think that we have in common that we can talk about.
Oh, 1000%. We were sitting here talking about both being Tennessee girls that we
Yes,
didn't
we're
know
both
about.
Tennessee girls, which I love Huntsville and Alabama, but I'll always be a Tennessee girl at heart.
Right. So tell us, what's your backstory before Huntsville Mom? You're obviously more than a mom.
Yes.
So what's your story?
Okay. So I don't even know where to start.
Start wherever you feel like you want to share, girl.
Okay. So thinking about how I got into the Huntsville Mom, I think that's probably the best way. I've always been, I think, a people person. You know, whenever I was in high school and college, I've always really found joy in other people, making people feel welcome, being a good friend, being a cheerleader, you know, which I was in high school. It's funny to say that, but I've always really enjoyed people. And anywhere I go, I try to always meet someone new, learn their story. I mean, it's kind of a running joke, but if I'm ever on like a business trip and get stopped by a homeless person on the side of the road, yeah, I'm probably going to give them money, but I'm also going to ask them a few questions too, you know, to make everyone feel care and concern. And so I wasn't sure whenever I was in high school what I wanted to be. I've always had a love for language and kind of thought maybe I'll go into broadcast journalism. And then I was, you know, thinking maybe that would be something I'd like to do, to write or to speak with more people. And then what I ended up landing on is, I think as a child, I always wanted to be a teacher. I wasn't sure because there were no teachers in my family if that's something that I could do, but decided to be an English teacher. And that was the best decision because it was a great career. I was in the classroom for 5 years And those were some of the best 5 years of my life.
What grade did you teach?
I taught 9th and 10th grade
Okay.
English.
Wow.
Yes.
That's hard years.
Yes. Everyone says that, but honestly, I think 9th graders are the best grade to teach.
Really?
Because they are still, I say, in the palm of your hand. They are old enough to do for themselves, but they still are the young ones on campus, and they want to do well for their teachers.
That
I feel
makes
like,
sense. Yeah.
I loved my students, and I think that they loved me. And honestly, if I know that I have some that follow me on the Huntsville Mom, and I keep up with them because I have quite a few who are now business people in the Huntsville area, and they are killing it.
You're not old enough to have that happen.
Okay, everyone says
You're
that.
not.
Yes, but I was young when I started teaching.
Okay,
I think 21, 22, and I was teaching 9th and 10th graders. So they really were almost like little siblings to me that
makes sense.
That, I was hard on and
you were a
giving
baby
homework.
yourself.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But they were great kids. I loved that school, and I went all in. I mean, I was the cheerleading sponsor, the Diamond Doll sponsor, student section leader. I mean, it was a lot, but I loved my time there. And I thought that I would, I didn't see myself leaving the classroom. I always knew I would go into administration, but I wasn't sure when, until I got a call from a friend of mine who said, hey, there's a new principal at a local elementary school, and there's a job opening. I think you should come interview for it. I think you should be interested. It wasn't even on my radar. I had seen the job posting, but wasn't too sure. And I said, well, tell me about him. And she said, he has got a vision for this school, and he's pouring his heart into making a difference. So I went and I decided to interview with him, and knew when I left, this is it for me. I don't know what I have to do, but this is my job. So I did. And that was an elementary school. So it was completely different from what I had taught. But I learned so much, because as a high school English teacher, you help students develop a love for the written word and for literature. In the elementary setting, you are teaching students how to read. You're teaching parents how they can be involved in their children's education to help them succeed. And I mean, the research is clear that parent involvement in their child's education makes a huge difference. I learned so much from the elementary teachers at that school about foundations and the importance of experiential knowledge, that my mind was really just opened up to how important that is.
Right.
And I wasn't a mom at the time, but I was married. We were married for 7 years before we decided to have children. We were kind of, we're high school sweethearts, so we've been together for a very long time. He's always been my very best friend. But after 7 years, it's like almost like something clicked, and I knew, okay, this is the right time for us. And we did have a little bit of a journey in getting pregnant. That took a little bit longer than I thought that it would, so that was a little bit difficult, but great to be on the other side of that now. So just to encourage anybody that, might be in that same season, it is difficult, but had children and knew all the things I was learning about early literacy and parenting and how important that is. And sometimes I would sort of hear the narrative of parents maybe not being involved in their children's education, or parents not XYZ and their children kind of suffering because of that. And what I've really learned is, if you take a look at the person and expect that they're doing the very best that they can, usually there's a reason.
Right.
And a lot of what I see is parents are doing the best that they can.
Right.
We're all working all the time. It's very difficult, to give of yourself more once you're home from work. A lot of parents work in 2 jobs.
My mom worked 3, I think, when I was in elementary school, because my dad was not, he wasn't going to contribute. So my mom worked 3 jobs.
She did what she had to do. Yeah. And I think about my own parents. My mom's a nurse, working hard, but always 12-hour shifts.
Right. Not or longer.
That's right. And then I think about my dad. He's a laborer. He was not really ever at anything that was related to my school. Not because he didn't have high expectations of me, and not because he didn't love me, but his job was to provide for us, to work. When it comes to that, I'm either going to work and provide for my family, or I'm an hourly wage worker. I'm going to go to this school event. The need is the most basic, and that's providing for your family. So I had the idea of the Huntsville Mom. Lots of cities have mom pages dedicated to their city. And I had the idea kind of, rolling around and thinking I'd like to do it with the way that Huntsville's growing. It should be done.
1,000%.
It's growing. But I knew that I had a lot to offer families and also women, because like I said, I was married for 7 years without children. I value fun and friendships and community. All of that has always been important to me. But then whenever I became a mom, I thought, okay, this is the right time to do this. I know it's going to be a success because I believe in the importance of it. And so there was a final push, and I've told this story several times, but I got a message from a mom that said, hey, I always see you share this fun stuff on my personal page at the time. I feel like maybe I'm not doing enough. I would love if you share the next place you're going with me, or let me know so I could go too. And then that's the final push I had to just get over myself and put it all out there.
Okay.
Put it all out there and just say, if people are interested, they'll pick it up. And if not, they won't follow. That's it. But I'm just going to be really authentic to myself. Share, I think, all of the goodness that we have in Huntsville, because there is so much good.
There is.
And I know that it can be a mix of all the best parts of me and all the best parts of the city. So I share what I do with my friends, what I do with my husband, what I do with my children, what I buy, what I do for myself, self-care or workout, ish. I don't really work out, but literally anything that I think someone else might enjoy seeing.
That's amazing. And so when did you launch that initial post?
Yes. Okay. So that was March 21st of 2022. That was just a year ago.
Okay.
It took off like lightning. I mean, I have all my stats written down because I always like to reflect on how far I've come, but I know it was like 500 followers in the first 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And then
that's a lot.
2,000 followers in the first 3 months. And it just went so rapidly because people were finding value in what I was sharing. And then I had, help from the community. I have a really, I think, supportive group of all of the people I told you earlier about that I worked with.
Yeah.
They believe in me and I believe in them. And so I feel like those were some of my best cheerleaders getting started, is they were vocal about Jessica has something to offer. Yeah. And so that means a lot to me. I think it's because I had that community support that it could easily grow. And then my friends, they're my biggest cheerleaders. But then my family, they believe in me. Everyone has been so kind, and it just really has taken off. And so every real goal that I've set for myself in this first year, we've been able to do.
That's amazing.
And I say we because we as a community, and I try to bring people along every chance that I get. If I meet someone new, I want to, brag on them and tell them what I love about their page and shout them out. And, Olivia.
I've seen you do that. Like, I've seen you do that. And I think it's so humble and so kind, because you took off and you could have just taken off by yourself, but you were like, no, I didn't get here alone. So I think that that's wonderful that you bring everyone into it, because it does feel very like a community.
That's exactly what I've wanted to cultivate from the very beginning, is a community of people, just cheering each other on. I mean, there is something good to find in everyone.
Right.
And everyone has their own talents. I definitely don't ever pretend to be, the most talented at anything, but maybe I'm a jack of all trades and a master at none. But I know one thing I am good at is relationships.
Yeah. And that's amazing, because obviously everyone has relationships in their life, whether that be with their husband, their children, their friends, their community,
coworkers,
anything. You have to have good relational, if that's the word.
Yes.
You're an English teacher. I'm like, oh God, you're the worst person to speak on this podcast.
No.
Relational skills, I guess. So I guess that would be a good segue into, you said you're more than just a mom.
Yes.
So being the single person that I am, where do people, or how do people pick up on the fact, like, hey, even though it says the Huntsville Mom, you can still follow me, because I'm going to give you more than just me being a mom, whether that be a dad, a single person who never wants children.
Yes.
Where would those people find value in your page?
Absolutely. I think that just literally on any given day, they'll probably see a post that I share that is a new food spot or a new attraction, an event going on in the city. They might have to scroll a few times to get to the kids,
Yeah.
I do stories probably every single day. And in those, I like to share something that I'm finding, something I'm enjoying. And I think that people following, they'll see very quickly, oh, it's not just the mom content that I thought might be there.
Yeah.
And it is interesting to look at my analytics, because it is men, it's mostly women, but men too. And the age demographics, I think, are quite interesting too, because my highest age demographic is the one that's right below me.
Okay.
And whenever I think about that age group, they're the ones that are probably going out more than I am, because I have to schedule it, get a sitter and all of that. So it's the age of I think 25 to 34 is my highest demographic consistently.
Right. So that was something I wanted to know. Like, how do you pick the places to go? How do you know when something new is coming up? Is someone inviting you to these events? How do you do it with being a mom and working a full 9 to 5 Monday through Friday?
Yes, because I do. Yes,
right,
and that is my bread and butter. And I always say that is my priority, because the job that I'm in right now is such a purposeful job, and it's really a complete circle for my family. That is my main priority. So I do the Huntsville Mom, I always joke, at nap and nighttime. So whenever my kids are asleep or it's late at night, that's when I do like everyone else and scroll until I find something that's interesting.
Okay.
A lot of times, though, I am invited to things.
Yeah.
Hey, we're having a grand opening. Would you like to come? Hey, we've got this event going on.
But it didn't start that way. You had to do all the research yourself until,
That's exactly right. I had to do all of the research myself. And there's value in this because I've been in the position before. There was an attraction that was coming to the city, and I wanted to take my children to it, but I could not find any reviews or any in real life photos. So then I finally just decided, scrap it. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to pay $50 to go to something whenever I have no idea what it's going to be like.
Right.
And so I always know that that's what people want when they come to my page. They want to see reviews.
Is it good?
The real photos, the real stories. So I always try to share a bit of it on stories so they can see it. I'm using air quotes here, in real time, because I don't post as I'm there.
Yeah.
But they want to see the stories, and that's sort of like a teaser. And then I'll usually follow up with a post.
Okay.
So then it's static. It's on the feed. They can always go to it. And then I encourage people, save the post, because then they can go back to it later and read. Okay, because I always try to include, where is it located? What did I love whenever I was there? And I do that to other people that I follow. I'll say, okay, what did she eat when she was here? Or what did she drink whenever she was here? Because that's what I want to try, and I might not can remember. So I think, honestly, just following my page, they will see that there is a variety of things that I share, not just mom related.
Right. Now, have you ever, because I feel like this is going to be a no, but you're so optimistic where I'm more of a, like, I'm going to share it if I hate it. Do you, like, if you didn't love something, you're like, oh, let me make this sound a little bit better than it is? Or you're like, I don't really want to put someone down?
Yeah, I always say I'm not an optimist, I'm a realist.
Okay.
And so I always try to share with people, and let me say this, I always joke, but I always say the best thing I ever was a server.
Okay.
I think I was a great teacher. I think I was a pretty good assistant principal, and I love what I do now. But the best thing I ever was a server, because I got to interact with people, show them a kind smile, tell them what I like, introduce them to the restaurant, all of those things. And that, I think, serves me well, because I know that everybody can have a bad day. Every kitchen can have something mess up. An order can just not be fulfilled. Right. I mean, I remember when I was in high school, I worked at Pizza Hut and we ran out of pizza dough. Imagine being the person that's delivering that to the people that came to Pizza Hut.
You could have a salad bar.
Yes. And
no pizza.
And things come up.
Right.
And so I always try to remember that I don't ever want someone's livelihood to be ruined.
Right.
Things happen. You know, even if they were going to judge me on how great of a mom I was, there'd be a bad day. They'd say, she's not going to be the number one spot anymore because I saw her fail today. No one is perfect. And so that's why I say I'm a realist.
Right.
Everybody's going to have a bad day.
Yeah.
And so usually if there is something bad, and actually I wouldn't even say bad. I don't think I've had any bad experiences. If there is something that didn't go as I had hoped, I just don't share that.
Right.
So you won't see it on the page.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to share it.
Now, if you go to something and you're like, let's say the fair that rolls through, they're not local to Huntsville, and you go and you're like, maybe it was overpriced. Would you share like, yes, I took my kids. It may be, here's the price range, or would you just say, here's the price range, or like, maybe?
I try to include what the prices are, and then people can decide for their family if that's a lot. Because I've looked at tickets before and said, oh, that looks kind of steep,
Yeah. Everyone's different, yeah.
Let me read about that and see if it's worth that investment for our family. Because sometimes it's just not. But we even do that. I'm thinking like right now, my husband and I, we just got tickets to Bert Kreischer. He's coming to the Orion. He's a comedian that my husband loves. And before we had the conversation, I said, okay, how much money are we comfortable spending for these tickets? Like, let's get that out of the way before I even log on
and
to buy them.
Yeah.
Yes. And so there's sometimes that even for myself, I would say, hey, that's a little bit too expensive.
I think we all do that. Like I've done that when I've gone to concerts before. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm spending this to see, I don't know, Drake in concert.
Yes, it just depends on how much we want to go.
Right.
But sometimes,
Same.
we have that conversation with each other. Okay, we're willing to spend this amount of money, and then, we'll be happy with it.
Right.
From that point on.
Right. Now, so we haven't talked about your kids a little bit because I hop around.
Yes, that's
so you have 2 children?
2 children, a boy and a girl.
What are their ages?
Okay, so Atticus is 4.
Okay.
And Camilla is 1.5 years.
Oh, wow. So they look similar in age.
Yes. They're about 2 years apart.
Okay.
She'll be 2 this summer.
Okay. So someone did ask a question, which their kids are much different in ages, like I think an 8 and a 3-year-old. Is there places that you've gone or shared that it's more appropriate for like huge age gaps in children? Or since you don't really have that experience, it's not really in your experience or wheelhouse?
So is the question like, are there places for older children?
Like together at the same time? Like if a mom wants to take to one place, but one's 8 and one's 3, how would that go? That's, to me, that's hard anyways, because the age is so different that they're not into the same thing.
Yeah, I would say by now that mom is probably an expert on what because she's living every day with an 8 and a 3-year-old, and that is quite an age gap.
I didn't know how old your children were. That's why I was like, I didn't know if this was in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, probably not, because at the age, Camilla's 1.5 years. She'll be 2 this summer, and Atticus being 4. She's just kind of along for the ride right now. She doesn't really talk a lot.
Yeah.
She's just happy to be everywhere she is. She'll run and laugh and giggle no matter where she is. She's having a big time. Atticus, the 4-year-old, is the one that I've really kind of have to watch out for and gauge whether he's interested, whether he wants to go to this or not, and how he will behave. She's usually going to be the same no matter where we go.
Right.
She wants to be put down. She wants to run around. So for the mom who's got the 8 and the 3-year-old, that's an age gap. And I think probably she's learned how to navigate that with her too, because it's a lot of bargaining. I think, hey, 8-year-old, I know you really want to go here. We got to take the 3-year-old along with us. So let's just do the best that we can.
And then another question in that same realm was, have you seen anything in Huntsville where autistic children can go for like sensory deficits?
Yes, this is so timely because we were actually at We Rock the Spectrum.
I've not heard of that.
It is a franchise, and there's a new one here in Huntsville out in Owens Crossroads.
Okay.
Specifically designed for unique needs. And so it is very, I'll say, autistic and children on the spectrum friendly. They have a calm down room.
Oh, wow.
They've got lots of sensory things for the children to play with and enjoy. The way that it's set up, I think any child could enjoy.
Okay.
And we were there, goodness, it was a really long party, and we were there for hours. And Atticus had a big time. I didn't have Camilla with me that day. It was just Atticus, and he loved it.
Oh,
it was
that's
great.
amazing.
And I've since looked into them and seen that they are in other cities, and parents seem to really enjoy having that.
Hopefully they'll branch out, because I know Owens Crossroads, like if you're on this side of town, like Harvest, my friend lives in Owens Crossroads, and it takes me 40 minutes to get there. So maybe they'll branch out, because Huntsville's so huge.
It really is.
One side of the city to the other is like 45-minute drive.
Oh, yeah. I get messages I just got one yesterday from a lady. Hey, we're moving into town. Where should we buy a home? And I said, well, first of all, where are you working? And what kind of commute do you want, or do you want to commute at all?
Right.
Start there, and, then I can sort of put you in touch with a few people. But it is
it's crazy that you're
city.
getting questions for like realtors
all the time. People for childcare, housing, jobs.
And so that's where, like earlier when I said, like, how do you balance this? And you said at nap time and night, because I used to do a nutrition page, and I'm so passionate about nutrition. I still am, but I quit doing it because at the time I was working in the ER, a very stressful place to work, and trying to tell someone about nutrition is just really hard. And it almost made me lose my passion there for a little bit in it, because people don't believe what you're saying, or whatever the case be. But I was trying to do that social media. Plus I was running a social media for another company, and then I was still working in the ER. And I was like, this is a full-time job in itself.
Oh my goodness, it is.
So like when you say nap time and night, it's like almost like making posts, making them aesthetically pleasing, finding places to go, getting the caption right, getting in your stories where people will stay engaged. Like, people don't realize how hard, like, if you just have a social media to have it, it's not that hard. But if you're doing it as a brand or as a business, there's a lot behind the scenes that people don't even think about, like the coloring and not changing the color or the aesthetic, because then people, like, their minds are turned off by it. It's just insane.
It is a lot. And to be honest, when I started it, it was a hobby and something I believed in. It quickly morphed into a business and something to keep up with, a second job.
Yeah.
And so I don't, hide the fact in that it has become a second job. But anything I do, I'm going to do well and put my all into it. And so right now it is kind of burning the candle at both ends.
Yeah.
But I told myself, get to that year mark. And once you do, it's going to be a lot easier, because then I'm sort of revisiting the things that my family does every single year, which I've done on my personal page for the last, however many years. I've always been really into social media and enjoyed all the things that it brings me, because there are things that I've never would have known about if it wasn't for social media.
Right.
I wouldn't have seen those beautiful pictures that encouraged me to go and visit. But now I actually literally find things to do from my own page.
Okay.
Because people will send me an invitation, or I'll be following another account and see it through the Huntsville Mom. And I might not have even followed them on my personal page. I didn't meet them until it became the Huntsville Mom. So I find things for my own family, for my friend group, my, relationship with my husband through my own page. I find value in it myself.
Yeah. Now, do you feel obligated to keep up with it now that it's been a year and you're like, we've done this for a year now everyone's expecting this of me? Do you feel that sense of, like, not that you're not, like, enjoying it, but, like, how there's that sense of, like, oh, I need to post today. Like,
yes.
I need to go somewhere this weekend so people can see me out. Do you feel that?
Yes, I do feel that sort of pressure to continue and make sure that I have relevant content. But what works for me is I'm a very busy person, and I always make a joke. I think I heard it on TikTok, but I say everything is content. Everything is content.
Truly it is.
I mean, I even laugh, but when Kava opened on Airport, I took a picture of my bowl because it was great. It's called the Harissa Bowl. Spicy.
I want to go there so
love
bad.
It.
I have not been yet.
I mean, that post took off, and I actually kind of felt embarrassed whenever I posted it. Like, nobody's going to care about this. That post did so well, and it was just what I ate. I was by myself that day. For whatever reason, I didn't have the kids or my husband with me, and I just snapped a photo of it to share what I ate, and it did so well. So I do feel the pressure, but it is pretty easy because I eat something every day. I go somewhere every single week.
Right.
Whether it's during the week or on the weekend.
See, this is where I'm kind of dumb because I don't have children, and I feel like if I were a mom, I'd be like, we're not going anywhere because my safe space is that couch over there with that blanket, and everyone's like, that's not true. You couldn't sit in your house with your kids.
Yeah, and I don't want to be like going all the time, but probably once or twice a week, and I do try to limit that. It does get to be a bit much, but I try not to be away from home or away from the kids more than twice per week.
Yeah.
So I try to balance that out, whether it is with friends or business commitments, anything like that.
Yeah.
But everything is content. So you know what? Just I snap a photo. It might make it to the page or it might not. It might be out of desperation because I have nothing else. But believe it or not, people are still following and still liking and going to have that Harissa Bowl.
And so do you ever feel pressure to never have a bad day? Which after meeting you, you say you're a realist, but I feel like you are a positive person, like compared to someone like me, where I'm like, I'm in my head going, please don't talk to me. Please don't talk to me. And so, like, do you ever feel pressure to, like, not have a bad day? Because I listen to, like, celebrity, or not celebrities, but, like, reality TV star podcasts, and they're like, it just sucks because people might come up to you when you're eating with your family, and they're like, let me take a picture, and you're like, I'm eating with my family.
I have definitely, like, not arrived yet in that. I do have people that will say, do I know you? And I used to get that all the time prior. And I would say, I don't think so. Because number one, I never forget a name and I never forget a face. That's just like one of the skills that I have. And so if I don't know someone, I'm like, no, we don't know each other. I just have a familiar face. But now whenever I say that, I'm like, oh, maybe they do.
From the Instagram.
Yes. Yeah. And so I just say, I just have a familiar face. And then this just happened last week. And then she walked back over and said, are you the Huntsville Mom? And I said, yes, I am. She said, I knew it. We were talking about you. We knew that was you. So right now, that's still really fun. Okay. It hasn't gotten to that point at all. Yeah, I definitely don't consider myself like a celebrity or even
You are a local celebrity.
I don't feel
You
that way
are.
at all. So right now it's still really fun, and I actually want people to come up and say hi. So if you're listening to this, if you see me, come say hi. I enjoy that because I want to know about them. Tell me what part of the city, what side of town do you live on?
And like you said, everything is content.
Everything is content.
Yes.
And I mean, I have made some really great connections just from those conversations. And so I always end with, I'm so glad that you reached out.
Yeah.
Because something good comes of it.
Now, do you remember the first time you were out and someone came up to you and said, you're the Huntsville Mom?
I absolutely do. I think I posted it on my story, so it's probably archived somewhere. We were at the camp for 4th of July. So this is early on because I launched in March, April, May, June, July.
Yeah.
And we were at the camp. We were, getting drinks and food, getting ready to watch the spectacular fireworks show. And this lady came up to me. She was actually behind me, and she said, "Hey, I'm sorry. Are you the Huntsville Mom?" And I said, "Me? Yes, I am." And I was kind of giddy. And she said, "We just moved here from out of state. I think they were from Mississippi. We just moved here from out of state. I've been following your page. I love it. I'm here tonight because you shared about it."
Oh my gosh.
And that was really awesome. And so when we left, we went to go sit on a picnic table after that. I said to my husband, "Can you believe that?" Like
that just happened.
She said that she's here because she follows me. I mean, that is so cool. And so I will probably never forget that.
I was going to say, that probably brought you so much joy.
It did.
I remember when I started the podcast 2 years ago and I was out and someone said, "Are you Babbles?" And I went, "Oh, what?" Yes.
I'm Babbles.
I was like,
yes.
I'm Babbles. Because I was initially like, "No, I'm Janet." But then I was like, wait, yes.
It is an awesome feeling.
Yeah.
So I think you probably share that. And I want them to say hi. I want everyone to say hi. I want it, to come speak. And
Well, that's like at your event. Like, so obviously if you heard, I know you said you were listening to Mom Olivia's podcast. I got a little too tipsy.
We've all been there.
Because I have a lot of social anxiety. That's why I started the podcast.
I love that.
To try to, like, I had to reach out to people and I had to talk. I can talk to anyone once I know you. It's just that initial, like, I will sweat. I will start talking really fast. And I'm like, I need alcohol. And so I was like, just talking to everyone. I remember, and I was like, I woke up the next day. I said, "Olivia, was I embarrassing?" She was like, "No, you were fine."
And everybody has that feeling the next day. And
my friend said that it's actually a thing, like anxiety.
Oh, absolutely. And I just saw a TikTok on this the other day that said, get out of your own head.
Right.
Yes, you overshared, but so did they.
Yeah.
Your jokes were funny. They were laughing. Just take it for what it's worth. Just give yourself a break. But I have been there before where I'm like, I told the same joke all night long. Or, I was really getting deep in that conversation and I shouldn't have. Yeah, everybody's been there.
Well, good.
I didn't think that you seemed, I didn't think you seemed nervous or drunk.
Well, I was. So, I wasn't drunk. I was just very tipsy.
Okay.
More tipsy than I would have liked to have been in a social setting where I didn't know people.
I did not notice at all. I thought you were great, and I loved having you there. Well, then we went to
8 afterwards, and then I was fine because I needed food. So
yeah, that'll make a difference.
And with all of this and your growth and your success and your local celebrityism, even though you don't think you are, how do you stay so humble? Because I know I reached out to you. You responded immediately. You were so, like, just inviting. And even when I met you at your event, you were like, "Oh my God, hey." And so you stay so humble. How do you do that?
I don't know. It's funny. I cannot
It's just your personality,
even recognize that maybe that I am,
Well, I feel like some people, and I don't know anybody like this, but I've seen it more like, I guess, reality stars or celebrities. You see them, like, you follow them where they came from nothing, and then they get on a reality show and then they blow up, have 2 million followers, and now it's like, "Don't talk to me." You're not like that, and you could easily, and I could see it happening, hit 1 million, 2 million followers. Huntsville's growing, people are following you, and you don't even have to be in Huntsville to follow you because your content is about, like, being a mom, going out with friends. So you have to, like, it's probably just ingrained in you to stay humble. But
yes. Well, I have humble beginnings, and I always, maybe that's a part of my story to share, is that I do have humble beginnings. I have parents that I've learned a lot from. I think biggest influence is the familial aspect I've learned from my dad and my family in Mexico. Oh, okay. And people might look at me and say, "Oh, she's Hispanic." I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
See, because I'm it's called I'm white passing. People might not know that about me unless they learned had an opportunity to speak with me, or it came up in conversation. It almost always comes up in conversation with me because it's such an important part of me.
Right.
But I think the the roots of where I come from in the familial aspect and how important family is and how important loving people, how important that is, but also how important hard work is.
Right.
And knowing that I value people and I value hard work, I don't think that I'll ever lose that part of me because that's the part of me that got me here.
Well, that's your core value.
That is my core value.
Even though I think I have maybe a different outlook than you do, like where I might be more of a, like, I'm a loner. I'm very, what's the word? What's it called?
Introvert?
Yes,
maybe?
That's what I was thinking of. I was like, I'm more introverted. People think when they meet me that I'm actually very social and outgoing. I'm actually more introverted. Like, I'm cool if I sit on my couch and never leave the house. Like, I'm really cool with that. But I took a turn when I dated a guy in high school. I was very negative and he was more of an outgoing person. And then when we broke up, I was like, maybe that was why he broke up with me. So I had to do a lot of self-introspection and be like, actually, I think I want to learn about people. Like, why am I so closed off? Why am I this way?
That speaks so much to you, Jonna, and I love that about you.
Right. Like, and now when I talk to people, like, in the podcast, like, I truly want it. Why do you do this? What it about? Like, I want to know. So, like, maybe that will change something in me.
That is a wonderful, I think, skill to have, to be self-reflective. And I do try to be self-reflective in the way that I am. And I know I'm very self-critical.
We all are.
We all can be, right? But that's something I own. I'm also, I consider myself, an anxious person too.
Really?
Yes. And very self-critical.
Wow.
And
I would not have thought that about you at all.
Yes. And I think that, and just, I don't know, being so aware of who I am and maybe how I'm perceived, that sometimes can be a burden and also a blessing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It can be both. And so I think it works both ways. I mean, I remember being in high school and being so consumed with everyone liking me and me wanting to be well liked and wanting to be a good friend to all. And that, I mean, when I look back, I kind of pity her,
Yeah,
oh gosh,
same.
that took a lot out of you. And I can see, which I've always heard as I age, that sort of drifts away.
Right. There's more important things.
There's
like,
more important things.
you have your family, you have your career, you have this brand now.
Yeah, I know. Not everybody is
You don't
going
have time
to
for that criticalness.
Yeah, not everybody is going to enjoy me,
Right.
or find value in what I have to say.
Right.
But isn't the truth that I feel like that about other people too?
True.
So just,
Well,
keeping
I had to
it
learn
real.
the same. Like, I'm not for everybody.
That's
And
right.
there's also something that I saw one time when it says, like, if I'm too much, go find less. Because I know I'm a lot. I'm a lot as a friend. I'm a lot. Like, because I get real deep with friends. Like, once we're close.
me too.
You're about to have, like, a real deep conversation. And I don't really care if you want to have it or not, but you're about to have one.
I'm the same way. I mean, my girlfriends and I, we always talk about that. Having deep conversations, that's what life is about.
Right.
It's very hard for me to stay surface level with anybody.
Same.
Whether it is my best friend of, 15 years or someone I just met on the street,
Yeah.
It's hard for me to stay
Same.
surface level with anybody. I always say this: we have but one life to live, and buddy, I'm going to live it.
Agreed.
I get one go at this, and I'm going to give it all I've got. I'm going to squeeze every ounce. And, when the day comes and that's the end of it, I know that people will say, she lived.
That's amazing.
She really lived.
Now, for the people like me, do you have any friends that don't have children? Do you have any female friends that don't?
Yes.
Or don't want children?
Yes. Both. My
Okay.
very best friend does not have children, and I don't think that she would have them. I think she and her husband would have the most beautiful babies on earth. I don't think so. And I find a lot of fulfillment in my relationship with her.
That's
she
good.
is so well read. She's so introspective. She's a great listener for me. She does not have any children, and she doesn't have to for me to just be in love with our relationship together. I love her.
Because in my friend group, I have another friend that doesn't have children, but she's married. So I don't have any children, and I am not married. So I get asked that often, like, well, how do you always feel like the third wheel or the fifth wheel? And I'm like, no, I just feel like I'm with my friends.
Yeah, I don't let myself feel that way. No, I mean, I've got several friends that they're not mothers.
Right.
I'm trying to think right now off the top of my head, any that are not married. Yes, of course. I mean, I have both. And I don't think it matters.
Right. And so that's where I feel like your content with the girls' nights out, like those people are there. You're sharing moms, you're sharing single ladies, you're sharing people in a married without children.
Yes. I mean, that is my thing on the Huntsville Mom. All are welcome. And that's very important for me. I want everyone to know that they don't really have to second guess with me. If they feel I'm different, I'm not like them, they already know.
Yeah.
With me, all are welcome. Come on and join us. There's room for everybody at the table. Not everybody, wants to do the same thing. Not everybody wants to do a social media platform, but there's something that we can find in common together. All are welcome. Come on, join, have a seat.
Now, are you getting into influencing a little bit? Like, have brands reached out where they're like, hey, like, share this post? Because is it more geared towards moms because it says the Huntsville Mom? Like, I'm just using this as an example. Let's say Pampers comes up to you and says, hey, will you post about Pampers?
Oh, I wish they would, because Camilla is not ready to be potty trained. So Pampers, hit me up. We can work a deal, a paid promotion. Yeah, I do have brands that reach out to me.
That's awesome.
And usually it just depends on what it is that they want to do, because I always want to make sure it's something I would do.
Yeah.
Or I would,
not just sharing it to be sharing.
Yeah, I would want to do it personally, or I already have done it before, or something. It's interesting to me because there is stuff that I've been asked to share, and I think, man, that's kind of cool. I've never even done that before. I would, without the Huntsville Mom, if I had someone offer, hey, we've got this new service in town, do you want to try it? I would say, absolutely. I'll be there.
Yeah.
So I just try to make sure the very first thing is that I find value in it. I would want to do it, or I have already done it.
And see, that goes back to you being humble, because some people would just take it and say, don't really care about this, but I'm going to share it for the money.
Yeah. There have been a couple of things that I've just not been able to work in.
Yeah.
And always, again, remembering like through the guise of it's someone's livelihood, I try to handle that very delicately and say, it looks like right now I'm not going to be able to work this in. I always try to find a way to find a personal relation to what it is I'm sharing. And so if I can't find a way, then I'm just not going to share it. And then I'll share that with them. Hey, it looks like right now I can't work this in, but maybe in the future we can work together. Okay. I don't want to close the door on anybody.
Because you never know.
Yeah, but there have been a few things that I thought it probably wouldn't do well. I'm maybe not interested in it, so not at this time.
Okay.
But I want to handle it gracefully and always make sure that I share, thank you for considering me.
Right. Now, one thing I love about your page and one thing I love about you that I've met since meeting you is that you're 1,000% transparent. And you tell me if you want to talk. You've already shared it, so I'm not hoping you want to talk about it. So I've seen you on the Skin Refinery getting filler.
Yes.
You also mentioned your weight loss.
Yes.
And I speak about this because I've gotten filler. I've been on several fad diets. I've done a lot of things that I'm super honest about. And everyone has their journey. Not everyone has to share what they're doing, unless you're like a celebrity and people are. Anyways, that's another.
Yes.
But I think that's amazing that you're super transparent, because you don't have to be.
No, I don't.
Someone could come up to you and say, you look great. You've lost weight. And you could be like, thanks, I'm trying really hard.
Been working hard. Yes.
Been hitting that gym twice a day.
Yeah.
But you don't do that.
Yeah.
And you also, in turn of that, you also shout out other people. So you shouted out the Skin Refinery. And then yesterday you posted where lighting, or maybe it was day before yesterday, lighting. And you were like, shouts out to these people for showing me all this lighting technology that I didn't know about.
We were, Olivia and I were kind of back and forth joking through our DMs, because she had shared a story. I love her stories. And it was about one of the lights. And then Stratton and her team we did the collaboration for the 1 year of the Huntsville Mom, and they had all this amazing lighting. And I was like, those pictures actually look great. Maybe I should invest. Because you always see the ring lights.
Yeah.
And I've seen them at all the stores, but I thought, do I really need one though? Like, would I actually use it?
Yeah, girl. It makes you look good.
They convinced me. I've been doing it all wrong, so I'm probably going to have better pictures now. And I just want to make sure that I always cite my sources, is what I said to Olivia.
Yeah. You're not gatekeeping. Is that what it's called?
No, I'm not gatekeeping. Yes. And because also I've been there before where I've seen someone and thought, man, she looks great. I wish I knew what she's done different.
Yeah.
And I've wondered that myself. So do I have to share that? No. I, make it clear. I don't have to share anything. I mean, this is my page. It's authentic to me. I share it because I think someone's going to find value in it. And am I nervous to share it? Absolutely. Do I take a deep breath and record it a few times before I post it and then finally just get over myself and do it? Yes. But the number of messages and the analytics on whenever I post something like that, it's almost always one of my best because people are, I think, maybe drawn to transparency, whether they're going to use it or not.
Right. And so like you inspired me after you posted your filler. I think you had went to the skin refinery and you were posting filler. And then I had my eye plastic surgery, which I've talked about several times on the podcast, but never on my Instagram because I have a bigger following on my Instagram. And I was like, if she's doing this, so it inspired me to be like, I need to be real about this because it's something that I have went through. And I was super embarrassed about it. But I was, like you said, the number of messages after sharing that, people were just like, wow, like, thank you for sharing this. I had no idea. No one would have ever known. Like, and it was just, it was crazy that it brought that, but you did inspire me to do that.
I love you so much for sharing that. Yeah, thank you. I mean, because it is hard to do, but it is well received because we're all just looking for something that we have in common.
Right.
And I don't want to gatekeep if something's working great for me. But you know what, too? I know that it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
But there are things that people do that maybe I don't want to do. You know, I don't usually do a lot to my hair. I just don't have the time for it, you know, to do the upkeep. But that's one thing that I see people do. I'm like, man, she's got great hair. I love it. I should maybe get mine colored. But I don't do that.
Yeah.
But do I still love seeing her photos? Absolutely. Whoever, you know, everybody. I mean, it could be anybody. But I think a lot of value in kind of being vulnerable and putting it all out.
Right. Now, moving on to parenting advice. Okay. I know everyone parents differently. But is there one thing you wish you would have known, like, now that you know it and you wish you would have known right when your kids were born? Any kind of advice that maybe was given to you or you learned now that your son is 4, like you're like, oh, I learned that yesterday. Wish I would have known that for 4 years.
Yes. Okay. And you're a nurse practitioner, so you can speak to this more educated and probably eloquently than I can.
Probably not, but.
So when a woman has a baby, your body goes through so many changes. And I'm not talking just the way it looks, that's a hard part too. But the hormonal changes in the body are real. And it doesn't mean anything in regards to how good of a mom you are. But sometimes you might just feel overwhelmed or sad.
Postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety.
Yes. And I had always heard of postpartum depression. I never think I heard until I was a mother of postpartum anxiety.
Yeah.
Even after I had Atticus. And I remember after I had Atticus, I was breastfeeding. The weight was falling off. I was looking good. I was feeling great. I was breastfeeding. But I was so hard on myself. I mean, I remember I would bring me to tears right now thinking about it. So weepy. But not because I was depressed. I mean, I was probably the happiest I'd ever been. But I was so overwhelmed and hard on myself. And so I love my nurse practitioner. I love my OB. If you follow the Huntsville Mom, you already know because I talk about them all the time. I mean, I would sell T-shirts for them. But it was in one of it wasn't at the, what is it, like the 12-week checkup or 6-week. It wasn't at that one. Okay. But it was a follow-up. And I said, she had asked me, how are you feeling? I said, I feel great, not depressed or anything like that. We're starting to get some sleep, but I'm just kind of weepy and I don't really know why. And she said, that is normal. Okay. When she said that, I melted.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to be vulnerable again here now. And she said, is this something that you want to talk about possibly taking medication for? Instantly, kind of froze up. I'm not sure I need medicine because I don't want to say something's wrong with me. Right.
Right. And
she said, this is normal. Your body is going through so many hormonal changes. And with you breastfeeding on top of that your body's doing a lot. And if you need something to just be baseline, and I had tried things in the past I didn't really think were effective. This was Prozac.
Okay.
I think that's what it was. We might have to edit this out because now I'm trying to remember if that's what it was called. But whatever it was, and I'll look it up.
Yeah.
When she gave me that prescription and said, here's the goal to get you baseline.
It's not forever.
It's not forever. If you want to come off of it, we'll talk about this time next year, slowly getting you off of it. Made the biggest difference.
So I always try to find a way to relate to people when they tell stories because, like I said, I don't have children. I don't know if I've spoken about this a lot. A lot of people know I have thyroid issues. I have autoimmune disease, Hashimoto's. With that, I also have horrible hormones. They were actually all low. Like I had no testosterone, progesterone, estrogen. And the doctor that I was working with was like, what is this? And I think I was 30 when that happened. I'll be 36 this year. But I was just like, hey, and so I've never wanted kids. Like I've never been that girl that was like, but when she was like, so if you were to get pregnant right now, like you probably couldn't. And if you did, you couldn't carry a baby. And I was like, whoa. So now that the decision was taken away from me because I didn't choose that. But when you talk about like hormonal swings and hormonal flushes, like I get it 1000% because mine, like they try to put me on hormones. So then I was on hormones and then I was like, okay, I can't do this with the hot flashes and basically felt like I was in menopause. And then I gained 25 pounds like in a matter of 6 weeks. But then everyone kind of came at me like, well, you're not big. And I was like, okay, but this is 25 pounds on my body. And I was super self-critical, which turned into body dysmorphia and all this stuff. And I'm like, and it was a hard thing for me because I was like, I am doing all the right things. So I can't control my hormones. So that's how I can relate when you say that, like you can't control them.
No.
And it's something that you feel like you've done wrong.
Yes.
Because as a mom, I assume you feel like you should be able to fix that.
Oh, yeah. And carry all the weight and do it gladly. And,
Right.
I was happy, but it's just very self-critical.
Yeah. Which I'm shocked that I shared that story because
I'm glad that you did.
No intention of sharing it.
No, I'm glad that you did because someone that is listening needs to hear this.
Yeah.
And it just hit me. It was Lexapro, not Prozac. Can you tell me the difference between the two?
Oh, probably not.
Are they very similar? Because
They're very similar.
I get them mixed up.
And if I had my phone,
Lexapro.
I would. One of them, Lexapro, I'm pretty sure is a SSRI. Prozac may be a SSNRI.
Okay.
I would have to get my phone.
But
to
just for the
actually
record, I had to get that out there because it just came to me. But it was a game changer for me.
Lexapro is, I think, the pregnancy safe one and breastfeeding safe.
Okay, that's because we did talk about that.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry that you're breastfeeding.
Right.
It's going to be fine. And honestly, it's going to outweigh the way that you're feeling right now. So it was a game changer for me. So the advice to myself, hey, it's going to be hard. That is normal.
Yeah.
If you need to go on medication,
do
it. And so I always want to encourage other people. But I'm not making the decision for them, but I want them to know if you have a baby and things seem hard and it's not, even if it is depression or if it's anxiety or you feel like you can't leave the house or you're being very hard to work with or too hard on other people or yourself, it's probably related to hormones and what your body's gone through. It's normal. Talk to your doctor.
And what is one thing you would toss in the trash when it comes to advice that someone maybe gave you and now you look at now and you're like, I didn't need, like, why did I do that? What did I need that? Or if there's nothing.
Gosh.
I'm just hitting her surprise moments
yes,
here.
That's a surprise. And I can't think of anything right off the top of my head that I would say,
bad advice.
Yeah, bad advice. Yeah. But I mean, I'm sure there's been some. I just probably just didn't use it. Because a lot of times, I mean, it is building the plane as you're flying it. I'm making all these decisions as they need to be made, and I'm just doing the best that I can and hoping for good discernment in the midst of it all.
And that's something I think that we don't think about because even as a single person, when I see my friends like with their children or something, I'll catch myself going, well, maybe you should do it this way. And I'm like, what am I talking about? I don't have any kids.
And it's like a pressure decision,
Right.
You have someone's whole world in your hands and you want to make sure that you don't scar them or give them trauma and give them great love and make sure they're secure. And
that's why I don't want to be a parent. I'm not going to lie. It's scary.
It is.
I have a lot of anxiety anyways. And I feel like if I had a child, I would be constantly going, oh my God, is that going to scar? Like, oh my God. So
yes, but we're all just doing the best that we can.
Right.
And I pray that at the end of it all that they'll know I did my best.
And last but not least, your merch. It's out. Tell me, did you do all the designs?
Yes. So this has been from the very beginning of whenever I wanted to launch the Huntsville Mom. I knew there is great potential in this. So that's why I wanted to start off really strong with my logo and spend a lot of time on making that representative of the city and with the word Huntsville Mom on it, not the Huntsville Mom. Because when people look at it and they see Huntsville Mom, they can see their own identity in it.
Okay, I like that.
And so I knew, okay, this would be something cute and people might like to buy. So I actually did my first launch in the fall.
Okay.
And every goal that I set, we were able to meet, because I actually went into it saying, if I can get 20 people to buy this, not my mom, or my immediate friends, if 20 other people will believe in this, I will be so proud of myself. And I remember Nicole, who I work with at the Apparel Lab, she's like, you sold 24 in your first day. Like, keep on, you're knocking this out. Like, you're doing a great job. And it ended up doing very well, the first launch. And then I got messages for more. When will you do more? I didn't get this one, so I thought, okay, I'm going to do spring, do it in all these fun colors.
I was going to say, they're beautiful colors.
I love the colors.
Beautiful colors.
Yes, and there's a good mix. There are Huntsville Mom sweatshirts, but then there are just Huntsville sweatshirts. So you don't have to be a mom to wear it. It just is representing our city. But I did all of the designs with the Apparel Lab. I sort of send them the ideas. Here's what I have in mind. They have a designer in-house that will mock up what
cool.
you've described and wanted, send it to you, and then we tweak it.
Okay.
Back and forth until it's just perfect.
Okay.
And they do a great job of making it
And that's
perfect.
here locally?
It's here locally.
And may have to get some Babbles Nonsense.
That's exactly.
sweatshirts.
I mean, I cannot tell you how many people I've said, if you've had it in your mind to do it, you need to reach out to the Apparel Lab, because they are a one-stop shop. I send them the ideas, they get the designs. Then after that, they do the website. People buy straight through them. They ship it to their homes.
Oh, awesome.
I mean, and then at the end, they just send me a spreadsheet of how well it did.
Oh,
and
awesome.
She sent me a message and said, hey, you broke our record for the first day of merch sales with this spring one, which I knew that it would do well, because I think it's,
they are super
cute.
adorable.
I love it. And so it actually closes on April 7th because
Okay.
it runs for just about 2 weeks. And then after that, all the orders will ship out. So I'm trying to encourage people, hey, if you want something, go ahead and get it, because I always get messages after it closes.
I was going to say, by the time this podcast airs, it's going to be past April 7th. So
look for the next launch. And whenever I say 2 weeks, I mean 2 weeks, because that's how it works with the Apparel Lab, because it makes more sense for them as a small business, which I love supporting them as a small business. Once the orders are done, they cut them off, and then they just mass print everything.
That does
so
make
they don't
sense.
have to have all of these extra sizes laying around either, because who knows what color someone wants in what size.
That almost sounds like Bonfire, which is online. So that kind of sounds like the same thing, where Bonfire puts up a thing and you have so many weeks to do it.
Okay, it sounds very similar.
Yeah, but then that's
just
local, so that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a local company, and so I love to have the opportunity to work with them.
Yeah. Now, is there any sneak peeks or goals that we're trying to reach in the coming year that you can tell us that's coming? Maybe on this podcast exclusive?
Well, the biggest thing I think that I've done just went up yesterday. So it's been in the works for a long time, but I wanted to have a branding photo shoot to really make sure we are in this thing. This is the brand, the Huntsville Mom. So I had a great photo shoot with Jessica Lee Photography. She nailed it. The pink blazer, the business, but still fun look. And
they were gorgeous photos.
I'm so happy with them. And they were published yesterday on a billboard on Governor's Avenue,
I saw
East
you
and
out.
West.
I was just like, she's on a billboard.
Yeah, on a billboard,
my
Governor's
gosh.
Drive, East and West. And I have to tell this story. My father-in-law was born in a home on 4th Avenue. When he was a little boy,
I just got chills.
when he was a little boy, he used to play at the stove house. They would run around and play and, probably throw rocks and hit ball right in front of his home on 4th Avenue. Yes. And he was older father and fought in the Vietnam Wars. He was sprayed with Agent Orange, and so he had emphysema, and you probably know a lot about that as a nurse.
I actually work with disability claims for veterans.
Okay,
so I'm learning all about the Agent Orange stuff right now, and I'm like, wow.
It's terrible what these young men went through for our country.
Yes.
But he was always a very proud Marine, and, we were the proudest of him, and he's passed away now. But I think, and I'll get teary thinking about it, if he could see my kids running and playing at the leisure lawn at Stove House, and then our picture on that billboard.
You're going to make me cry.
Yeah, how proud he would feel. And I think about everything I do.
Yeah.
Wanting to make sure that I can show my pride for my family through that.
That's truly
like
full circle.
Yeah, that's like the biggest thing. So I have some hopes and dreams for the Huntsville Mom in year 2. As far as numbers go, how many followers on Instagram and Facebook. And I think we'll get to 10,000 on Facebook this year. It's very close right now. I think that will happen, but I'd love some sort of brand partnership in the city that maybe hasn't come about yet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm thinking big here.
Do you have a place in mind that you want a brand partnership with?
Yeah. I want to maybe like throw out the first pitch at Trash Panda's baseball game. They need to hear this, and just know, like, I've
never been to a Trash Pandas game.
Okay.
I'm going to come with you and your family.
Okay. You are invited. And whenever they invite me to come throw a first pitch, which I don't even know if they do that, Jonna will be with me. Because I'm, claiming it. Things like that.
That would be cool.
Are going to happen. Cool. Yeah. And so I'm just, as we're getting into it, thinking of what can I do next? What's the next big thing?
Yeah.
And I'm searching for it. Now,
do you ever have a goal to make this a full-time position?
I think it absolutely can become a full-time position.
1,000%.
Yes. I just am learning how to scale the business now. Mm-hmm. But I absolutely do think it can become a full-time position. I would hate to, I can't say right now that I would leave my current job just because it is such purposeful work, and the families that I get to serve are so incredibly humble and kind. And again, for my family, the program that I support is for English learners.
Okay.
And with my dad being a former English learner, I see his face in all of the children, that I help. It'd be hard to walk away from that.
Oh, for sure. But,
as it grows, it might be hard to keep up with both. So I will never say never.
Thank you so much for coming on this podcast. I know time is valuable. You work Monday to Friday. I work 2 jobs. I try to do this podcast on the side, so I 1,000% get it.
I appreciate you inviting me.
I mean, I definitely don't have children, so you've got all this going on.
Listen, my friend Paige says this, my busy is no more important than your busy.
Well, so thank you for that.
The fact that you considered me, invited me on.
Oh, absolutely.
And let me work around my schedule. I know you're working a lot too. It means a lot. So thank you.
And I just appreciate your vulnerability and bringing out vulnerability in me today that I didn't think I would share. I was sitting here in my mind going, oh my God, I cannot believe I just shared that story. But no, thank you for that. I think that that's clearly what you do. You bring community together. You keep people positive and staying humble. Girl, keep doing you. So pimp yourself out and tell everyone where they can follow you at.
Yes. Okay. So at the Huntsville Mom on Facebook and the Huntsville Mom on Instagram. And I couldn't believe I did this, but I've just gotten on TikTok too.
I still can't get into TikTok.
I'm obsessed with TikTok, but I usually just scroll.
But see, I don't I use TikTok for research only. If I need to I'm getting part of my tattoo removed. So I will go to TikTok and I will say tattoo removal.
Okay.
And that's all I'll look at. So I don't know.
My feed is so curated to what I love and enjoy. And so I've just done, I think it's been probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, the Huntsville Mom on TikTok. So you can follow me there too. But really, Instagram is my go-to place. And if you want stories on the daily, it's going to be Instagram. So follow me there.
All right. Thank you so much. This will all be in the show notes, everyone. You can go to the show notes, click on all of these links. I will also, by the time this comes out, I was going to say I was link her merch, but it's going to be gone. Sorry, guys.
That's okay. Look out for the next one. And no, 2 weeks is 2 weeks.
All right, guys. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.